Hello, what's up guys? I'm Kyle from KGR, and in this box is a complete Wave 3 of the Sonic Movie 3 5-inch figures. Some of my viewers have been bugging me, trying to figure out when I'm going to be doing this video. Anytime I would publish another video to kill the time waiting for this to come, I get viewers saying, when are you going to do the review? When are you going to do the unboxing? I had to find them first. So now that it's finally here, let's open up this box and see who all we got. The timeline on how this all happened was I originally placed an order from Big Bad Toy Store, and it took a little longer than I expected. It wasn't bad by any means. But as a toy reviewer, I'm impatient. So when after I placed my pre-order and then Target started getting them out in the wild and sometimes Walmart's, of course, I had to do a little bit of toy hunting just for the thrill of it. See if I could find them in the wild first. I did manage to find Sonic and Gerald Robotnik in the wild, but I never found Super Shadow or Knuckles. But when Big Bad Toy Store said that they shipped my pre-order, I returned them to give somebody else a fair shot at finding them in the wild, instead of me just listing them on eBay and just being a scalper. That's terrible. But anyway, Big Bad Toy Store sends us a nice little sticker for 2025. That's really nice looking. I love that. So we're just going to put that to the side for now. Then we got this bubble wrap that we may or may not reuse in case we have to ship packages ourselves. I was hoping that this would just come off really easy, but no, I just picked up the figures instead. So let's put this box down and go over each figure on which one we got. First, we got Fire Fist Knuckles, which I know they're technically called the Flames of Disaster. However, Jakks Pacific called them Fire Fist. So I'm excited to see how this looks. Next, we got Sonic with the Master Emerald. I'm happy that they just didn't call it an Emerald. They actually called it the Master Emerald, so good on them. Then we got Super Shadow. This is one I really had a hard time looking for, but I'm happy we finally have him. And last but not least, we have Gerald Robotnik. Let's go for Sonic and Knuckles first, save the best ones for last, and go from there and compare it to the other figures. Now, when I ordered these from Big Bad Toy Store, I paid $75 for these, plus tax and shipping, so it was roughly about $80 more or less. If you would have found all of these in the wild, you would have spent roughly about $60 before tax, but getting them in one swoop, making it easy to find, that was really convenient, so thank you Big Bad Toy Store for making that. However, if you want to get it now, they have it listed for $83.99, but it's sold out right now. So I would say keep an eye out on that page. I will have a link down below for that, or any other links if I can find any. But for the most part, you're probably going to have an easier time finding this out in the wild rather than waiting for this. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at Sonic first. Obviously, we got the same blister packaging that we got from all the other Sonic Movie 3 5-inch figures. And this time we got Sonic, and for the first time we have a Chaos Emerald, or a Master Emerald. The positioning on the eyes seem a little bit different. I'm pretty confident it's not supposed to be like that, but that's okay. But this is the first 5-inch figure with an accessory, so that's pretty neat. Then the back, it shows the figure itself, and then it's the same render that we saw from the last figure, and then just having a Chaos Emerald in the background, or Master Emerald, I should say. And it's going to be the same bio as last time, so Sonic is on a roll, saved the world twice, but who's counting? And it has 2 besties for his team, but will they be enough to handle a devastating new threat? 22 points for articulation, the rest of the characters in the wave. So let's open this up and see what it's like. And thankfully there's nothing like pinning him down, so we just gotta get everything out very loudly. And then we got the Master Emerald. Nothing else is in here, so we're just gonna throw that away. So here is Sonic in his glory. I need to reposition everything to make sure he can actually articulate properly. Give me one sec. This figure definitely needs a hot water bath, for sure. Some of the joints are a little bit stuck. Okay, so this doesn't want to be fixed right now, so I'm just gonna worry about that, like, post-production. I'll like get a hair dryer and like blow at this and actually try to move this, because I'm trying to move it and it's trying to tear apart the joint instead. But the eye placement is very weird on this one. It's like it's at a constant angle for some reason. It's like he's like trying to only look up for the most part. But if you want, here's a closer look at the figure itself. He looks mostly fine. This one is probably just a defect in particular. So if I see another Sonic, maybe I'll grab another one in the wild if it's slightly different from the one that we got right here. Which, speaking of, let's take a look at them side by side. So looking at them side by side, they are literally the exact same figure. As far as I can see, there are no improvements made. It's literally the same exact figure repackaged and then just put with a Chaos Emerald or a Master Emerald. So I'm not going to need this figure in particular, so I'm probably just going to, you know, after I give it the old hair dryer treatment, I'm going to give this to my niece because I know how much she loves Sonic for now. But honestly, from what it looks like with this figure in particular, it looks like it was like glued or something. Like, this doesn't look right. Actually, I think this one's probably just a defective figure. Yeah, it looks like it was glued in here or something. Like, that looks like there's something been on this guy, because this arm looks fine, but this one looks messed up. So yeah, I'm just going to give this one to my niece. I'm going to let her play with this and have fun with it. I can't do anything with it. But I wish this version of Sonic had an angry face, because by the time he gets the Master Emerald in the movie, he's... gotta keep it PG. He's very angry. He is out for revenge. He is very upset. I'm sure you've seen the movie by now. But in case anybody hasn't, I won't spoil anything. But Sonic has the right to be upset. So it would have been nice to see a much more angry Sonic as an action figure, rather than just having this smile saying, hey look, I got the Master Emerald. Which, speaking of, I think this is a new sculpt, because the Super Sonic from movie 2 came with a Master Emerald, but because that was a smaller scale, they made it different, I guess. So I think this is a new scale to match that. So that said, it looks good. I like it. It doesn't really match the Jakks Pacific like 4-inch figures, like for the standard Sonic figures. But for one that's supposed to be meant for just the movies, this looks great. I'll put this on the shelf with them. Why not? So let's put that over here. And this Sonic, we're just gonna throw behind the camera because I'm gonna give that to my niece. But now we also have Knuckles with Fire Fist, the Flames of Disaster.
The Flames of Disaster!
And I'm happy that he does come with these, because this is actually a good enough figure to pose as he's flying, so he actually can replicate the scene that he is doing in movie 3, or you can even see in the trailers too. So I'm happy that this exists. Again, the same old thing that we're used to, looking at the back, 22 points of articulation, saying that Knuckles is one tough echidna with no time for small talk. He will protect the Master Emerald no matter the cost. Which thank God we have it over here so he can protect it. You know what, let's just put it with Knuckles. He's got to watch over it. Because we don't have a Wade action figure, and I wish we had a Wade. And I also wish we had Agent Stone. But I doubt we're getting none of those figures for this, because now that movie 3 is about to hit Blu-ray here pretty soon, we're probably not going to have a need for brand new action figures, which is a bit of a shame, but if anything new comes out, I'll buy it. But anyway, let's open this up and let's take a closer look at Knuckles. So there were 2 ways to get Knuckles originally. There was the 4-pack that came with also an exclusive Tails with a very angry face, which again, I wish Sonic came with that, but that's okay. And then he was also released in Wave 2 of the movie 3 5-inch figures. And as far as I saw, it was the same exact figure as the 4-pack, so I didn't pick it up. But now that we have him, he's still a hefty boy. Still love him. I'm pretty confident if you put him in flying position and throw this at somebody's head, it will hurt them. So at least he has that kind of action. So here's a closer look at Knuckles with his fire hands. I kind of see like the splattering paint going throughout the fire. And to me, that kind of screams like low production quality personally. Or maybe like blood splatter, if you really want to call that too. I just think it's like lazily painted. But you only see that from up close. I'm personally going to be just putting this on my shelf, so I'm not going to notice it too much. But if kids are going to be playing with this, they're probably not even going to care about that either. Because I'm an adult. I care about these things. I should be worried about more other things. But we have to get him in position. First up, his legs are bent really weird. I wish his mouth was open as well, because whenever you see him with that, you also see him shouting, whether it be in the movie or in the Knuckles show. So it would have been nice to get new faces as well to encourage you buying this outside of having brand new fists. But there he is! He's flying, and he has the Flames of Disaster. Yeah, look at that. He's cool looking. But if you never had a Knuckles before, can these come off? After a lot of struggling, yes, these can come off. I wouldn't recommend doing so, because as I was trying to do it, it felt like it was trying to like rip the joints apart. But yes, just like Sonic, this is literally the exact same figure that you would get normally, but they just added an extra accessory to it. And these are pretty rubbery, so these can come on and off. However, just like that Sonic that was a defect, essentially, putting it with hot water or even a hairdryer should be able to help these things come off a little bit easier. But now, let's put these things back on. They definitely come on easier than they do coming off. So comparing it to the other Knuckles figure seems pretty silly and pointless. I don't think it's as necessary, but there you go. They're literally the exact same figure. But with them being kids' toys, there are going to be some quality control differences. Like, for example, the crest on my normal Knuckles is a little bit more faint compared to my one with the fire hands. However, the one with the fire hands has a little bit of a silver paint job on his socks for some reason. Again, these are like $15 figures. Like, it's going to happen. I'm not sure if I have enough room on the shelf for both of these, but I feel if I'm going to have a Super Sonic and a Super Shadow, I might as well have a Flames of Disaster Knuckles. Just so I could say, this is one from the movie. like this is the one from the TV show, if you really want to count that, too. So we'll just put him behind normal Knuckles for now. But there you go. Next up, let's go over Super Shadow. Now, this one's essentially just a repaint of the Wave 1 Shadow, but he's super now. Super-de-duper! So there he is in all of his glory, and of course he has a few things tying him down as well, so we gotta get those out. And then the back of it, you see him, this is saying Super Shadow, so he does have a new bio, having the 22 points of articulation, so this one's gonna be a much better version of Super Shadow rather than the one that you would get that lights up with Super Sonic and Super Shadow, which the light effects are cool, but these ones are more articulated, so when it comes to doing some really good shots and poses, this is going to be your better figure. Super Shadow is the unstoppable form of the ultimate life form. His speed and strength is devastating as he harnesses the limitless power of the Master Emerald. Not even going to talk about the inhibitor rings, or limiter rings if you want to call them that instead. Point is, this is Super Shadow. He's strong. But same old packaging as normal. She says Super Shadow. We got the new bio. We're going to open him up now. We got to get rid of these things that are holding him back real quick. And then very loudly take him out of this box. There we go. And here is a closer look at Super Shadow. Doesn't he look great? Oh man, I love Super Shadow. He's so cool. Thankfully, this one doesn't cost me $300. I'm really happy with that one. Woo! Just playing with him already like has me so excited because like, you know, it's Super Shadow. He's like, all right, I'm not here to mess around. Sonic, you and I are gonna fight. Which, by the way, that fight in that movie, oh my goodness, that was a good time. Now I want to watch the movie again. But for the first time on a standard 5-inch figure, the cutoff that Shadow's eyes would normally have in his irises and pupils are no longer there. So this has me in hopes that if they re-release Wave 1, which I have been seeing re-releases of Wave 1 sometimes, if they do have one where his eyes aren't cut, I'll buy it again, because I definitely do gotta buy a new tails, because the tails on mine are a light shade of gray when they should be a darkish gray close to a black. So if I can find that, cool, but if I can find a new and improved Shadow, oh, I'm in. But just look at this. The fact that he could finally have that neck movement to look down a little bit and look more menacing. The fact that he could finally have his arm go across his shoulders as he unleashes multiple chaos spears at people, or robots I should say. The ab crunch is still useless for the most part. It's mainly meant to just turn it side to side. But just look how menacing he looks. Tell me that doesn't look cool. But now I'm mad that there's a good looking Shadow with good eyes that's actually fully posable and like fun to play with. I know some people at first didn't like the whole like glass eye looking thing. Personally, it grew on me. I love it. So I hope it grew on other people as well. But if you're gonna have Super Shadow, you also gotta have Super Sonic. Now, when I first got the Super Sonic, I was thinking that he doesn't need to be smiling because when he's in that state, he's typically not really smiling. He's like in for business, not for a good time. But he was smiling, and I was smiling even harder during that scene. but the shade of yellow they use for Super Shadow as well, like this is what we want. This looks phenomenal. Speaking of Jakks, can we get a re-release of a Super Shadow in the standard 4-inch line that's actually the proper color that he needs to be? I'd really appreciate that, thank you. Hold on. While I'm here, I'm gonna recreate the pose. Give me a sec. First, I need a frame of reference. To Google. There we go, I got a point of reference. Now we're gonna recreate it, give me a sec. I hate the way they cut Shadow's hips. Like, it's like, the joint itself is kind of like a Y, while with just the Sonic, you can just pose that however way you want. So it makes posing this a little bit more difficult and has me more scared of the longevity of it, like, you know, not breaking, you know? Yeah, there they go! Look at that! That makes me happy, I love that. But let's put Super Sonic and Super Shadow in somewhat normal standing poses, even though they won't look good like that in, like, you know, for photography or whatever. It's the only way I can fit them in my bookcase, so I have to put them in a standing pose. I know it's boring. I'm at least having Shadow look cool and like mess with the inhibitor rings, you know, before he, like, you know, starts charging at any foe in its way. Yeah, they look so cool back there. Look at that. All right, next up, last but not least, Gerald Robotnik. This is the first Gerald Robotnik figure we have ever had, and it's Jim Carrey. Now that Sonic X Shadow Generations has come out, here's hoping that we can get brand new action figures of them, or honestly, a first figure of each of them for the first time in the game canon for the most part. So part of me is upset that our first Gerald figure ever is the movie version. And while we're at it, can we get a new Shadow too? But anyway, Gerald Robotnik, same packaging we typically see, but on the back it says a brand new bio, 18 points of articulation, and there he is in his glory. Professor Gerald Robotnik is the genius scientist behind Project Shadow and grandfather of Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Which, by the way, let me know in the comments, what do you think of Jim Carrey's performance as Gerald in this movie? Because I loved it. I thought it was fine. Oh man, I am also very excited to see what happens in movie 4, because I am desperate for new Sonic movie content. And I hope we get a Shadow dedicated series. But here is a closer look at Gerald Robotnik himself. Look at him in his glory. Isn't he glorious? Look at the wrinkles on his face. That is Gerald through and through. I liked the detail on the badge as well. I didn't think that was completely necessary. And he even has a watch on. I didn't even know he had a watch on, but he does on the action figure. His hands can't really do anything other than move, so at least that's fine. That's whatever. But they did give him his infamous gut, which can't be said about his other half, Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Now this figure is more based on movie 2, because when this came out, not much of the movie was really shown off. We've seen a little bit, but not a whole lot. So we didn't see him in his new costume at first, or like his modified costume. So it's a shame that we don't see him in his big belly form and all tattered up and all that stuff. But as great as both of these figures look together, it would be nice to get them in their newer updated outfits. So maybe we can get a brand new 2-pack with them in their new costumes. Part of me wants to say, yeah, sure. But another part of me is also realistically thinking that this might be the last wave of the movie figures, because I know Jakks Pacific announced a bunch of new waves for figures, and by that I mean they just talked about old figures for the most part. They're redoing the 3-pack with Super Sonic, Werehog, and Soap Shoe Sonic. They're doing new stuff for Sonic Racing Crossroads, I believe, or Crossworlds, I mean, I'm sorry. But point is, when it comes to the standard action figures, there's not much new being done, so we don't know what's going to happen after this. And what's going to happen to my channel? Ugh. But this does look great. This is what I would expect out of a Gerald Robotnik figure based on the movie. This is exactly what I needed. It's not going to be doing any dynamic poses, but as funny as it would be to have them in, you know, in their final costumes, like the actual proper Eggman suits, it would have been really funny to also see them in the dancing scene, because that is such a big, like, iconic scene in that movie. I feel like action figures of those costumes are completely necessary now. So Jakks Pacific, please get on that. But I feel like my head looks like this once a week, you know, when I do a weekly shave. But since I'm, you know, approaching my 30s, I'm gonna look more like this guy, belly and all. So, might as well start working on my Gerald Robotnik cosplay here pretty soon. I don't really know what else to say about that. I'm bald, I'm fat, but I have a beard. I can't get rid of this beard. And for the most part, this is every character in the Sonic movie 5-inch form. Of course, there's gonna be some other variations of characters, like an angry Tails and an even angrier Shadow, and a mascot head Tails as well. Why does Tails have 3 different versions of himself, but we can't get any other forms of Sonic? Part of me was hoping that with the Wave 3 Sonic, it would get rid of this little stripe thing here, but this is it. This is all of these Sonic Movie 3 characters. I know in the 2.5-inch line they did put out an Agent Stone, and it upsets me that we didn't get that as a 5-inch figure. What the heck? But I don't think this is the last of these figures. 5-inch wise, maybe. But I did hear that they are making a Chow Garden playset. I gotta get that, so we're gonna do a review and unboxing of that when that comes out. But assuming that this really is the last of the 5-inch line, I'm really impressed by this. I'm really happy with how this whole set turned out. These are by far some of the best Sonic figures. Like, some of you might not like the whole textured look because of them being more based on the movie. However, they are the most articulated. You can do so much with these figures. I haven't loved a Sonic figure this much since the Nendoroid first released. These figures are amazing. I love these guys. And I'm very excited to see what are they going to do with movie 4. Are they going to stick within this 5-inch line and just add more characters and make updated versions of these figures, kind of like the same way they did with a 2.5-inch line? Or are they going to go with something completely new again? We don't know. But you can't deny that these are Sonic action figures mostly perfected. Like, these are pretty great. If they do come out with more figures, I would like to see updated costumes of the Eggmen, and also see an Agent Stone figure. I would like to see like Sonic and Knuckles with their Chow mascot heads. But for the most part, I can't really think of anything else I would really want out of the 5-inch line. If it ends with this, I'll mostly be happy. But hunting for this was a wild ride. It was also very annoying, and I hate toy hunting for the most part, I'm not gonna lie, because Walmart and Target stocks, at least in my area, are terrible. I just got lucky with Wave 1 for the most part, but I am so happy that this is done now. That, like, look at them, they look great. But, thank you for watching. If you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. In the description, there's gonna be my link tree for my social media, as well as a link to hopefully order these guys if you can. But this is a wild ride, and it's finally come to a close. So anyway, thank you for watching. I love you guys to death. And I'll see you on the next one. So peace.